Hello and welcome to the Guitar Collection. Today I have the pleasure to introduce to you a guitar by the famous German luthier Antonius Mueller from the year 2019. Now, for those of you that don't immediately know this name, these are guitars that are played on by artists such as Zoran Dukic, Aniello Desiderio, Sharon Isbin, and many of the world's most famous players, as well as many young players and competitors that are performing in some of the biggest competitions around the world and winning huge prizes, honestly. In fact, in this past year's 2024 Guitar Foundation of America competition, two of the finalists, Hao Young and Francisco Luis, were both playing on Antonius Mueller guitars. Meanwhile, at night, there were concerts going on by many different artists that were playing on his instruments. So this is how widespread they are. And because they are so well known for being incredibly consistent and high quality guitars, they are extremely in demand. And his waitlist is now over 10 years, well over 10 years. And his incredible son is building a lot of guitars nowadays, of course, under his own label, Felix Mueller. But a little bit of history about at least Antonius Mueller guitars, as well as my relationship with them. I've actually visited Tony Mueller in his workshop and recorded an interview with him. So check that out. It's actually on my other channel under my name, Evan Tauscher. So I'm going to put that link in the description. You can see a little bit of on the screen here. And Tony is really well known for pioneering this balsa doubletop design. Now, while luthiers like Matthias Dahmen before had used wood in between the two layers of top, like this guitar is, Matthias Dahmen had used cedar strips and in a different pattern, whereas the balsa doubletop with balsa in between really came from Antonius Mueller, and you can actually see it through the top of the guitar and the right light, this chevroning pattern. But, you know, it's not something incredibly obvious unless you're looking for it. Now, this guitar, these guitars by Antonius Mueller are extremely well known for being loud, very warm, very even all over. This is maybe the top quality to me to note about this guitar. And the sustain is impeccable. In fact, this is the guitar, at least in my eyes here, in my ears, sets the standard for consistent sustain in the upper frets. For instance, pieces like La Catedral by Barrios, where you have a lot of very sensitive notes and a very, very fragile melody, this guitar is one that you can trust through and through. And, you know, on many guitars, on almost every guitar, some notes are going to be shorter than others. So you really cannot wish for miracles, every single note being the same sustain-wise. But on this instrument, miracles just seem to happen. For instance, E, F, F sharp, and G, G sharp even, why not A? These are all very equal in sustain, and maybe that sustain didn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind I'm muting all the other strings, which even in a piece like La Catedral, you are not muting all of the strings. Take a listen to a little bit of this piece, though, on this guitar. Now keep in mind that this is something I did with one take. I'm telling you, I trust this guitar. And for most of my guitars, even some of my favorite guitars I've ever played, there's some notes that you have to really manipulate in order to get them to last an acceptable length. I mean, maybe you have to do a lot of vibrato, or maybe you have to let all the other strings ring without muting them by preparing the other fingers. There's a lot of little details you can do to try to coax out a really perfectly even melody. But in this guitar, you don't have to. And these are some of the most sensitive notes on the guitar. You know, I'm doing F, F sharp, G, C sharp. It's still ringing. It's really, really amazing. But these are maybe some factors that may not matter as much to you as just the raw sound of this guitar, which is just so beautiful. I would say it's characterized by a lot of warmth. It's a very warm sound and with an incredible dynamic range. Like I said, the evenness, not just in sustain, but in attack, is just so wonderful. Listen to this. Other thing about this guitar is that the consistency and sound between strings is so perfect, so exact that, again, you don't have to think about adjusting your tone for different sounding strings. I mean, the consistency, it's actually kind of hard to process all of this at once, but there's a consistency in tone color, but also, yeah, it's tone color, but it's also volume and attack as well. And the balance when you play chords is just thoughtless. I mean, you get exactly what you intend. The first string on this guitar, I have to say, is just angelic. I have this set up with a nylon first string, just like I put on most of my guitars, but for me, it really doesn't get better than this as far as the first string goes. The note pops off the guitar so quickly, yet still has this bloom. There's volume to it, there's a bloom to it, and there's this darkness and quality. It's just so much fun to play. So trying to think if I'm missing more things about this car. Oh, I haven't even talked about the specs yet. Before I do, I'm going to run you through some specs of the guitar. And I'm also going to play some more musical examples for you so that you better get to know this guitar. But before I forget to say, please subscribe to this channel. I know that so many of you watch these videos but don't subscribe. Maybe you watch from a you're not signed in or something, but it really means a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel. It helps me reach you better and share with you more guitars as they come in. This guitar is already spoken for, but I do occasionally have guitars in, and if by Antonius Mueller. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I will keep an eye out for one for you. I also will be receiving sometime soon a guitar from Felix Mueller, his son. Definitely look out for those. I actually have videos on different Antonius Mueller guitars and Felix Mueller guitars on this channel. So go check those out. You can just search those names. Also, check out the website guitarcollection.com. Maybe you're not looking for an instrument exactly like this. Maybe you're looking for a more traditional guitar that's not a double top. I've got a lot of great guitars coming in right now, some that aren't even listed on the website. So definitely shoot me an email. Definitely put your name on the mailing list on the website, which you'll find there, a little box where you can enter in your email. And without further ado, let's get to the specs of this guitar, which I might have briefly glazed over here. And after that, I'll do some playing examples on this. So, like I said, this is a cedar double top, and it is balsa in the in-between layer. Now, I know for a fact that Tony Mueller does cedar or spruce. There's not cedar and then underneath spruce. This balsa interior, you can see when you lean it into the right light. I'll try to get a clip of that for you. Something I've always admired about his guitars is his rosette. It is just iconic. You see it and you think, Tony Mueller. I really like this little strip of wood on the tie block here. I think it looks great. There is a raised fingerboard. It is a small amount of raise, but it is enough to where you can reach those high frets really easily. And I have to say, the fingerboard on this guitar has taller frets, which sometimes his guitars have lower frets. I really like the taller frets. There is something very magical about the fingerboard and the way this guitar plays. I actually think it more has to do with the sound of the guitar and how that influences your left hand, all this trust. But this guitar is extremely comfortable to play. It's a 52 millimeter nut width. And when I turn the guitar around, it has an Indian rosewood back and sides, really perfectly matched, no line down the center. It almost appears to be a single piece of Indian rosewood, when in fact it is not. It is a two-piece Indian rosewood back. And then when I look up at the headstock here, you can see that the design is inspired, I would say, by Friedrich or maybe even some of the famous Granada makers. But the tuners, oh my gosh, they are Rogers with this beautiful engraving on them, this dark mother of pearl buttons here. It just looks great. It's a great looking guitar and an even better sounding guitar, if that's believable. But anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out the other videos. And without further ado, I'll play some more examples on this guitar. Thanks. you.